Welcome everyone to the EuRA Not-in-Seville get-together. Firstly, I do have to thank the people at Hoover who made this possible. They set this all up within a week, and on top of all that, they've rolled over everything relating to the Seville conference to next year. So thank you very much to them. Without them, we would not be speaking to you now. The other thing I need to thank is all of you who are sitting watching this for agreeing to take a credit note for next year's conference. So before we go any further, I'd like to introduce you to Michele Bramstoft from Copenhagen Relocations, EuRA's current president. Michele.
Do you remember my slogan from last year? That's right. Generate relocation recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow EuRA family members, distinguished guests, it's my pleasure to update you and give you my take on EuRA's theme three-tiered theme: recognition, reputation, revelation. Recognition, number one. Do you remember the EuRA ebook? Remember the one, yes, the one that the EuRA family is writing. That ebook that is going to hit the charts, just like Frances's books. To date, we have 12 entries of short stories. And unless we want to make this the shortest ebook ever, we've been blessed with 9 months to birth an ebook. So please send me we have a lot of time to send me your entries. And tune in on Friday when we'll give some recognition to some of the current entries that have come in. Number two, reputation. I've said it before, the relocation business has a resplendent reputation inside the industry. And thankfully, EuRA is growing that reputation outside the industry. And tomorrow and Friday, you'll be able to tune in to and find some ways rather to grow the industry, the reputation of relocation. So tune in. Number three, the third and last part of our theme is revelation. Now, it seems to me that I'm having revelations daily, and especially since the month of March, when we were sitting in Seville, postponing this conference and saying we would skip over doing something virtual. And then, you know what? We had a WUVA revelation. And we are here, committed connection at this Not-in-Seville get together. Recognition, reputation, revelation. I raise my glass and ask you to continue generating relocation recognition. Thank you. Back to you, Tad.
Thank you, Michele. Well, again, I can't thank those watching enough for accepting the credit note. We really appreciate your loyalty, and as such, we can do for you during different. If you remember, we wrote to everybody within the association personally, all members, and I was really touched by the number of responses we got as a result of that letter. It was warming. For us here at EuRA, we are making our own cuts in the same way as you've been having to make your cuts, and we've had to change things. We're all working from home, and as a result of that, we've realized that we don't actually need a physical office. So as soon as we possibly can, we will be closing the EuRA office and continue working from home. This will save us money, which is excellent. We have looked at salaries. One of our number is on furlough, and I myself took a pay cut of some 50%. We've done this so that we can continue to deliver the services that you deserve as members. We will continue also to offer free training during this difficult time, and when things begin to get back to normal, well, I'm afraid have to start charging again, because even EuRA needs to make some money. In terms of training, this is one of the things that we want to develop. And if you have a skill or you have a topic that you believe will be of interest to other members, we'd love to add it to the MIM training, especially at this time. You've got time to sit down and work something out and put something together and get it out there and let people have further trainings to actually go and participate in. At the end of this period, we may well have doubled the number of trainings that are available to members, so that in future we'll have an enormous library of training. Interestingly, there was an incredible response to the online training for the EGQS this last week. Of course, if you didn't watch it, it's fine. It's available to all members. The recordings will be out there. And even if you as a company are not considering doing the EGQS, it's a great opportunity to have a look at the training, to look at ways in which to update your processes within your organization. And please remember, the people who use EuRA the most are the people who get the most out of EuRA. In the coming weeks, we are going to be doing some more research. And you'll hear more about that this Wednesday and Friday, but please participate in this. The research is going to be headed up by our new strategic consultant, Wendy Wilson, and you'll hear from her as well as all the other strategic consultants during the presentation tomorrow, which is being moderated by Dominic, and all the consultants will be public. The research that we are going to be carrying out, starting next Monday, the 11th of May, is going to be very, very important in moving towards getting the relocation industry out of the shadows and into the limelight and getting us recognition in the future. Thank you all and welcome back, Michele. How are you doing over there?
Doing great, ready to raise my glass again. And I love that we're pushing the reputation, the recognition, and we're going to have a lot more revelations before we see each other again next year in Seville in March. Let's go.
Thank you, Michele. Now, before we move on, I'd just like to draw your attention to the interviews that Dom has been carrying out with members from around the globe. These are fascinating and you should watch them if you possibly can. I was struck by one quote from Beverly Sun in Hong Kong. She said that our industry is made up of people with passion and compassion, and I couldn't agree more. I think that's a fantastic way of looking at us. And on that note, I'd like you to listen to a few words from a very, very special guest who has plenty of passion and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, Tad. Reputation, recognition, revelation. Well, dear friends, wherever you are in the world, we've certainly had some changes since last we all met in Munich. What a different place the world is nowadays. And what are the revelations, the major revelations that we've all seen during this extraordinarily curious time for all of us, wherever we are? Well, the revelation I've noticed is something that's been hiding in plain sight. And that is that the people that we most value, the people who are most important in a crisis situation, are oddly not the superstars on Instagram, oddly not the Madonnas in their rose petal bath, oddly not the Premier League footballers on their six-figure weekly salaries. No, the important people are the very quiet, the very silent, the very humble in many instances, heroes and heroines who go about their business and without whom the whole of the world, the whole of the world's economy, the whole of the health services and all the services we expect in a civilized society would simply collapse. So there we are, that's my first revelation. And that got me thinking. I thought, who are those people? You know, in my country, the United Kingdom, where I currently am locked down, every Thursday evening, most of us go outside and we applaud the National Health Service. We applaud those quiet heroines and heroes who go about their business, who look after us when we are in extremis. Nurses, doctors, care workers, and the entire ecosystem that goes around them. And it got me thinking about our family, our ecosystem, our EuRA system, because do you know what? A lot will change, without doubt, over the next few months and months that we've seen. We will be seeing the light in a completely different world. But you know, in amongst all this mayhem, this crisis, this change, certain things do not change. Certain things are immutable. And those are the core values that we represent in this EuRA family of ours. So let's have a look at some of those core values in EuRA. EuRA. Well, the core value that we appreciate, and I recognized as soon as I joined this family, was the core value of empathy. The soft skill that makes you the people you are in this very complex business, dealing with people under enormous strain and stress. And I was watching the other day a fireside chat between our gorgeous former president, Ursa, and Dom. And by the way, can we have a little, can we actually have a round of applause for our key people at the EuRA staff at the moment who are doing so much to keep us together in these times of difficulty. Thank you, all of you there. So going back to that fireside chat with Ursa, as many of you know, has been in her previous iteration her previous iteration, she has been a nurse. Right, she tells us about the fact that she herself has suffered from the COVID-19 virus, but she hardly stops to mention that. She moves on to tell us about her husband, Lars, who's been in intensive care with that virus, and we all thank the Lord that Lars is now doing well. And then she moves on seamlessly to tell us how she's been looking after her staff, making sure they have the right protective equipment, and her clients. Empathy. Caring for other people as much as you care about yourself, your family, and your friends. That is one of the key attributes of EuRA as an organization, and long may we stick to that key attribute. Understanding. Well, of course, we all love to see soft skills in operation. Without that, the world will not go round. But if ever you were to go to a hospital, that wouldn't be enough, would it? You'd want to see people with their disciplines, the hard disciplines, the process to look after you. And that is what, as EuRA family members, we have too. We have processes, we have disciplines, we have all the processes and disciplines that have been put in place by the Quality Seal. So let's have a look at that one. You have been moving people around the world when governments couldn't manage it. I know for a fact that you have been repatriating people, finding safe houses for people, and with your soft skills, looking after people's food requirements, their children's play requirements, above and beyond the call. That amalgam of soft and hard skills that make you key workers. Which brings me with a seamless segue to one of our other key issues in this conference of ours, and which we will consider again when we meet in Seville next year. Reputation and recognition. What is a reputation? A reputation is a brand. It is that seamless amalgam of tangibles and intangibles and all those things that go together, effables and ineffables, that come together and create recognition, value. That is your brand. That is the EuRA brand. Think about that. Again, with all the work that's been done since I've been a member of this family for over a decade on the Quality Seal, professionalizing this industry, making it a recognized industry within the world community and within the business community. So much work has been done to make us the professionals we are. That deserves more recognition. That's one thing that must change. Governments have been talking about key workers. And yes, hats off to all those key workers. I believe there are members of our community who've been doing some work on finding out precisely what this business is worth in monetary terms, so that governments all over the world could recognize the contribution that the global mobility business makes to the world economy. Wow. That's a conversation we'll pick up when we get back together again in Seville next year. EuRA, R is my recognition, of the reputation that you have worked so hard to achieve over the years. And A is for adaptability and agility. If ever there was a business or an industry that had to be agile, that had to adapt to the situation in situ, to what's going on in real time with real people under real stress in real crisis, that would be our industry. That is what EuRA has been and increasingly will be in the new world that we see when we emerge from this pandemic. It's been a learning curve for all of us. We've seen things that none of us would wish to see in peacetime. We've all lost people close to us, but you people, key workers like all those unsung heroes and heroines in health services across the world who have done your bit to make things better for people in times of severe difficulty. I wish you and all of you, your family, friends, everybody around you, the very best. We'll meet again in Seville. We'll continue this conversation. But just remember, EuRA members, EuRA family. Just as our NHS, EuRA is a family of key workers, and that deserves increased recognition.
Hello and welcome to the rather surreal opening of the EuRA virtual online conference, the Not-in-Seville event live from everywhere, the UK, Belgium, Spain, Germany, Denmark, Russia, Portugal, Switzerland. So it's a great pleasure to be able to do this. It's great to be able to do something together. So first of all, EuRA Board, cheers. Your very good health. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Cheers.
Cheers. And now, I would love to just ask you each 2 questions, going round the Brady Bunch Square. First of all, Simon Robbins. First of all, Simon, welcome to the EuRA Board. This is your first experience of a EuRA Board huddle. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Simon, which was your first EuRA conference?
My first EuRA conference was Budapest.
Ah, okay. When it flooded, that was the first one we had to really come up with a contingency plan for. Do you have any memorable moments from your conference years? Because that's 10 years, no more, 13 years.
It's 2006, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. 14 years. My maths is terrible.
It was 14 years ago.
Please.
Yeah.
Have you got a memorable moment from all your experiences?
Do you know what? I think I mentioned it at the beginning, but I think it's actually meeting, making good friends, which I've carried through for the whole time that I've been attending EuRA. I think it's a great organisation to network, but actually making good friends and they go on to become family friends, I think is a more valuable part of the whole EuRA family, which is for me is great.
That's a really lovely sentiment. Thank you, Simon. That's really nice to know. And it does kind of, because it's difficult to encapsulate one thing. I was on this interview yesterday with the EuRA team, but I will just go again because I thought of a better one. So my first EuRA conference was 1999 Barcelona, which was the first EuRA conference. And my memorable moment of late was drawing up to the gala dinner venue in Warsaw to see that there were actually tablecloths, because we'd got the dates wrong and the caterers were booked for the following day. And I have to say, I was so relieved, I had a little cry. Alistair, how are you? And when was your first EuRA conference?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, all good. My first EuRA conference was Rome, which I believe was 2008, when I knew nobody in the industry and found the whole thing completely terrifying, because it seemed like there were hundreds of people where literally everybody knew everybody and I knew nobody.
That's actually really interesting. And did it feel a bit cliquey? Because if that's the case, we need to help. Well, we've got newcomers reception stands.
No, I think everyone was really welcoming, actually, really nice. And it didn't take too long before I felt like I was part of the family. So initially, I do remember seeing like hundreds of people chatting away, looking like they've known each other for years. And yeah, like I say, I knew nobody. So sink or swim moment. And I thought I'd just go and make friends with as many people as possible.
Brilliant. Do you have a memorable moment from all your years of coming to the conference?
So interestingly, I do have lots of EuRA nights that I have no memory of. So they were always good fun. But I would say my favourite memory, the thing that I can remember in particular, was the end of Dubrovnik, because the conference was amazing, the venue was fantastic, had a really successful week in lots of different ways. And then there was the video of that we showed to Tad when he was getting emotional, and yourself, which I thought was the perfect end to the conference. But then from there, a group of us took a galleon to the party night. And I just thought, life doesn't get much better than this. We're having a drink on a galleon, sailing to a party. It's like, okay, and this is work. Okay, that's great. So, yeah, I think the galleon ride in Dubrovnik is my favourite ride.
That's lovely. And also the nicest thing about the galleon ride from our point of view was that everybody paid for that and it all went to the charity and it raised a huge amount of money. So, you know, that was great. Thanks, Alice. That's lovely. Isabel, Fremont, how are you? It's lovely to see you.
Hi, I'm good.
What was your first EuRA conference?
Stockholm.
Ah, it was. That was fun. I remember that very well. Again, it's quite challenging from our point of view. And do you have a memorable moment from all your experiences now? Because that's a long time ago.
Well, a lot of, but I think my the best time I remember was the auction, the live auction we had in Malta, while my husband started to bid against doornets, and I ended up to have a huge bill to pay.
I remember.
So yeah, for good cause, but no good moment.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's like, you know, when you travel with your partner and alcohol's involved, I'm saying no more. But thanks, Isabel, that was brilliant. Susanna, how are you? Lovely.
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. Everything's well. Everything's well here with us. My first conference was 2001 Dublin. That was, I'd been in the industry for about 2 months, I think, and I was told I had to go to Dublin. And as Alice said, it was a bit of a scary moment. I thought, my goodness, I don't really know what it's about. I need to really start thinking how this is going to work. But the reality is that I got there, and as Alice said, I saw everybody really friendly. I had a lot of people come up to me. We were, and it was my baptism into the EuRA family. So it was a lovely event. Also, the amount that it's grown from those days is tremendous. So well done to everybody that's made that happen. But I find it very difficult to find a memorable moment because there's so many, and I've been thinking back through all of them, and every single one of them has something that is very special. But I guess Palma was also a very special event for me, not only because obviously it was in Spain, it was my first year with Antares. So that was good, but the rave in the cave was a very good event. I had a lot of fun that night. So yeah, I think it's very difficult to choose one, but that could be one of the moments.
People really, really remember the rave in the cave. Those people that were there, I mean, that just stands out so much. It's amazing. Yeah, you're on film, Michele, in that. It's a movie about it.
Yes, you are.
That's great. That's brilliant.
Rave in the cave.
Rave in the cave. Thanks, Susanna. That's brilliant. That's lovely to hear. One of my most memorable moments with you actually was in Dubrovnik and the birthday cake. You bought everyone birthday cake, and a huge cake came out of the kitchen with sparklers on the top. That was great. Elizabeth, how are you? Lovely to see you.
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Everybody healthy. Do you hear me?
Yeah, which was your first?
Okay. I really had to think about it, and it was Amsterdam 2002, which is quite a while ago. I haven't missed a conference since then, and I can't say any special moments. I mean, there have been so many special things. Of course, things come to your mind, like the flooding in Budapest, or the Iceland volcano, and we had to move Mallorca. It's such a great thing to attend a conference every year and to meet everybody. I think all over the years, in 23 years with my company, it gave me a lot of support to meet people, to talk to people who are in the same boat, who have the same problems and issues every day. So it's lovely to be with the EuRA family.
One of my most memorable moments, Elizabeth, with you was last year in Munich, and I lost you. You donated a really beautiful photograph, which I desperately wanted to buy at the auction in memory of my mum, and I lost it. And I was so angry that I'd lost this thing. And eventually, I was literally crawling on my hands and knees around people's tables and saying, I'm so sorry, I'm not trying to do anything rude. And I found it on the floor, and I was so relieved I could rather give it to you. Michele, it's lovely to see you. How are you?
Thank you, Dom. It's lovely to be here, and I am doing very well, thank you. And my very first EuRA conference was in Prague, and it was a long time ago, and I didn't know anybody either, but it was a learning experience. People were easy to talk to, and that actually is the most memorable Friday night party. It was on this boat, and I just remember connecting and having fun, dancing, and it was a blast. And I brought out a little rave in the cave. That's the second best thing, where we were the loudest table, waving around our
yeah, that was brilliant.
I love the EuRA family. I was hooked from the very first conference, especially the party.
Well, thank you, Michele. And Tad, you've got quite a lot to say about that party in Budapest, haven't you?
Well, yes. Budapest.
Sorry, in Prague. In Prague.
Prague, yeah.
Oh well, I've been listening to you all, and I feel I have to make a comment about several different things. And my memory, my first conference was obviously Barcelona. My the biggest memory there was exhaustion. In Prague, I was concerned that the captain of the boat was drinking too much. I'm reminded that in Dublin there was a foot and mouth outbreak taking place at the time. I think Amsterdam went off reasonably well. The next memorable moment, I suppose, would be Budapest, when the river was flooding. Thereafter, of course, in Rome, I spent the party evening in the car park because the buses all wanted to leave with one person on them. After that, I suppose, well, the curtailment, cancellation, postponement of Parma and the drive down to Barcelona, both of us with white faces going as fast as we could to rescue what we could. I think since then things have been a little bit more stable, but I suppose, up until now, of course, but I suppose that one of the most wonderful things that happened, in which Alistair alluded to, was the wonderful film that Minnie made, that you all persuaded him to make, and you dragged me on the stage and you made me stand there and weep in front of 700 people, for which I thank you very much indeed. So I think I've had a very, very good time in my role with EuRA, and okay, there have been some funny moments and there have been some scary moments, and I suppose one last thing was the raid in the cave, worrying that everyone was going to fall off the stage because too many of you were on there dancing.
Yeah,
that was a bit of a worry. Thank you, Taz.
Sorry,
I said this to you yesterday, but I can now that I know how to use iMovie and I can edit things, I can now put soundtrack onto that film and put it on YouTube of you crying. So hurrah! Andrew, lovely to see you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah.
Good.
Everyone.
Which was your first EuRA?
Well, the first one I remember was Portofino, which was,
oh God, I forgot all about that.
Fantastic, amazing location, and I have one very memorable memory from there, and that was coming out of a bar with Patrick O'Man just as the sun was rising. And I thought, to Alistair's comment, is this working? Because this is good. I mean, every conference that I've been to has had something that is special about it, and we could probably all sit here for many more hours, and hopefully when we're all together we can share some of those good times and things that we've had. But I mean, one particular thing that sticks in my mind was, and it was at lunch when we were in Dubrovnik, and I just sat, got my lunch, sat at a table with someone who I didn't know, and they didn't know me, and it was their first conference, and it was just some of the things they were saying. I mean, they'd attended that, not really knowing anyone. They knew one or two people, but they were just blown away with how engaging everyone was, how open everyone was, and how much fun they had. And I'm sure we've all heard stories like that, but that sticks with me. And another particular point, was on the stage, with Tad and the rest of your team, when we brought into tears, and not that was the intention, but that was an emotional and memorable time.
it was indeed extremely memorable. That's really nice to hear. Thanks. It's yeah, I'm glad that people feel inclusive. EuRA, lovely to see you. How are you?
Good to see you. I'm very good, thank you.
Good. Which was your first EuRA conference?
My actual first EuRA was Rome in 2008. So I should have found you, Alistair, because I was I was there not knowing anyone, and I've just started, I think, a month ago in my role. And in my very first meeting, someone asked me, so please tell me, what is the difference in getting a business visa and a work visa? And we didn't even do immigration at the time. And I honestly thought that it's just actually the same, two different words for the same visa. But the person was so confident, so I said, oh, it's very tricky, I'll get back to you with details after the conference. And I came back and I said, well, we're setting up our own immigration. I want to know what on earth are these business visas and work visas. And yeah, so that was my first conference. It was a great one. I think it was amazing to have this one as the first. Then about memorable moments, I promised myself not to say rave in the cave, because that's what seems to, well, that's what everyone talks about. I wouldn't be mentioning Warsaw, because it was fun though, with the drive to, we drove from Moscow to Warsaw. I ended up, after the bid, I ended up with an incredibly expensive but a beautiful vase that I discovered in the morning. We drove back to Moscow. It was a fun conference, but I think the highlight for me was Munich, when I had my 6-month-old son, my partner, all of my family there for EuRA, you know, to actually see my family. So it was my EuRA family, to see my EuRA family, and me joining EuRA Board. So that was sort of a big milestone for me personally and professionally. And
oh, that's lovely to hear. That's really nice to hear that the sort of, you know, the family meets the family, and that's really lovely. Thank you. Isabel, how are you?
We're good, thank you. Hello from Portugal. Well, my first EuRA conference was Berlin.
It was Berlin, was
it?
Yeah.
And that was double the excitement, because I'd never been to Berlin before, and the hotel was in the brand new rebuilt area of Berlin, if you remember. So that was,
yeah, it was. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it didn't feel scary as a first one. It felt overwhelming in a good way, because coming from a country where the industry was just starting, I had that moment of, wow, there's so many people who actually do what we do, or, you know, who had the same terminology. And that was absolutely, that was a memorable breakthrough, understanding that there was a whole world out there who were trying to do what we were, who already did what we were trying to do. And that was, yeah, so Berlin was a very special moment. Another very special moment was, of course, Lisbon, which came right after. And not only was very exciting, still new in the industry, to have it in our hometown. Also, I remember at that time, there were so little of us, we could still talk with EuRA about the local companies doing something special. And we did the, I believe it was the first ever relaxation area with the masseuses underneath the staircase, if you remember, got out of the conference room and under the Lisbon relocation office. I have, curiously, very good memories of Bucharest, because we were just going around trying to explain to people that we could have services online, and so that drew a lot of interest. So I thought that was very exciting, because people wanted to know more. I remember having a wow moment in Stockholm when we got into that beautiful museum. I mean, that dinner setting was just quite out of this world, with the boats. Dubrovnik was 20th anniversary. I guess that was very special for everybody. I was already on the board, so that was very special too. And I think likewise everybody else. I mean, it's really difficult to pick one. Palma was so special because that was our first one, is moving on. And I remember that we were so eager to go as a team, as a new team. that we stayed in the the most modest hotel I could think of, because we just wanted to fit as many team members as we could within the budget. And it felt so special because we decided that we would cut expense in the accommodation and travel, as to afford and bring more delegates and from our team. So that was a very special team moment too. Yeah, well, I've enjoyed every bit of it. I've missed once since Berlin, and that was because my daughter was 2 months old, and that was actually a force majeure, let's call it, for having missed the conference. And
it's lovely to see. Thank you so much. I must admit, Lisbon stands out in my mind. The party night at the Patio del Ficino was just that was a great evening.
Oh yeah.
Pierre, how are you? Good to see you.
Hello, I'm doing very well, thank you very much. And greetings from Switzerland. So actually my first conference was Bucharest. And that was my first EuRA conference, and I had attended prior to that a lot of moving conferences such as IAM and FIDI. All that these FIDI and IAM conferences, I knew almost everybody after 17 or 18 years. So for me, it was kind of a shock to discover new people. But I quickly realized that EuRA was really a family, and that's just amazing. And one of the in my memory, there are two things I will remember. One was the 20th birthday celebration, when it was very emotional. And I keep that image of Tad on stage, and that was really, you could then realize that EuRA was really a family, just not a catchword or something, but it's really a family, which has been proven over the years. And so one of the funny memories I have was probably in Porto, and I was passing by the bar, and I came across somebody from the moving industry, and he told me, "Oh, it's good to see an old timer," and that was devastating for me. And I said, "Oh, do I look that old?" And that was really devastating. But really, I mean, then I discovered that. I mean, apart from that, I'm amazed how EuRA can be a family, the relationship among the board. And again, welcome, Simon. You will see that if EuRA is a family, the EuRA board is also a great family, and everybody is guided by the same concern of working for this association and the EuRA family. So that's really true, and that's really appreciable, and you will enjoy it.
Thank you so much, Pierre. That's a really nice way to put it. And I'd just like to end by saying, I think families all over the world at the moment are separated, and we have to just live with the realization that we will not be separated forever, and we will be back together. And on that note, I'd like to raise a glass to you as a board to say you're all amazing. It's a privilege to spend time with you. Whenever we get together, it's an absolute joy. And also to raise a glass to the members. We will be together again soon. Stay strong, stay well, stay safe. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.